And we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us today to talk a little bit about the show Stroke of Genius. Well, Stroke of Genius was born out of an idea that James Thornton had, and James unfortunately has some personal or business that he's taking care of today. So we would all want to keep James in our thoughts and prayers because he's struggling a little bit today. So just keep in mind that he's out there and he's working as best he can, and he will be back with us next Friday for the next edition of Stroke of Genius. I'm going to ask you, what do you think it means to have a stroke of genius? Well, from our perspective, stroke of genius came from this idea that James had, where it was all about understanding the impact that he was having on the world, not just from a human standpoint, but also from the standpoint of, I wonder what he was, what impact he was having after his stroke. So, he had a stroke a year and a half ago. For 6 months, he couldn't talk, and now he can. Although he does have a little bit of a hitch in his talk, you can hear that. But when he does talk, he knows exactly what he wants to say. So he can think fine. It's this getting the words out of his mouth that are the problem. When he was just after he had the stroke for 6 months, he wasn't able to talk at all. So he heard a lot going around him. He was able to process it all, but still not be able to do anything about it. So I think it's important for us to start to understand that we have something in our lives where we're quiet. We're not saying what we should be saying. We can't say what we want to say, but we're processing it. We are thinking about it. What is it that you have? Where are you at? Where you are, you should be doing something. You should be having a bigger impact. You just been thinking about it. You can't get it out. How do you get it out? Well, there are lots of different ways. But I'm telling you, it's important for you to get it out. Get it out like James is. James is awesome. I can't tell you how much I love that guy. He is now at a point where he's able to get it out and tell the world about what you experience when you go through near-death experiences, when you go to heaven, when you see God. This guy is going to light you up. I can't wait for you to join us next week as we continue to talk about that. But I'll tell you, there's a lot to be said for what we're doing today. We don't always look to the past. We don't always look to the future. And sometimes and a lot of times, most times, we just need to be present. We need to be where we are today and be present with the ones that we're with. Who are you with today? What do they need to know about what you have inside you that you're not letting out? Maybe you're not letting it out on purpose. Maybe you don't know how to let it out. So I want to go back to that again. Understand what it is that you have inside you. What do you have burning inside you that you know you need to get out? Think about it. Write about it. Tell me about it. I'd love to hear from you. If you don't want to tell me about it, that's okay. Tell someone else. That's great, man. I'm just so happy for you, and ladies as well. I'm so happy for you because you are now beginning to understand that there is something else that I can do. It reminds me of a letter that my daughter wrote me back in 2011, shortly after I'd had brain surgery. She showed me, she told me what I meant to her. You know, you're the best dad ever. It was a Father's Day letter, so of course I'm the best dad ever. But it's the best dad ever. Sure, other people's dads are great. They're younger than you, they're sportier, and they're funnier. So I've read the letter quite a few times, as you might know. But she said, but you've got something that they don't have. Bravery. Even after everything you've been through, you still get out of bed in the morning. You still go out and joke around and play with us and cook on the grill, even though you only have half of one good eye. But you do more still. You inspire me and you teach me that even though you go through the most toughest and grueling things, that if you just believe that God is right there with you through everything, you'll get out alive. Not always unscathed, but alive. And give me that hope, that sense of belief. She wrote, well, I take that over Dad with two good eyes any day. So when you're thinking about what you have inside you, you know you need to get it out. You know you need to get it out. How do you get it out? Write it down. Write a letter to someone. Tell them what you have inside you. Maybe it's what they mean to you. Maybe that's what you're going to tell them. Maybe you're going to tell them something else. I can't tell how important it is for us all to understand what we have inside of us and get it out, because you're all amazing. I have no doubt that what you have is worth sharing with someone else. Again, you don't have to share it with me if you don't want to, but share it with someone else. So that's one of the things we have going on today, is to make sure that we know what it is we have inside us and get it out. We talk a lot about our faith and how that grounds us in everything we do. I would not be able to be on a camera, in front of my computer, having a conversation with all of you had I not gone through. Well, I went through a lot with brain surgery and with losing my eyesight, but understanding there was a calming effect that I went through, and I'm still there now with a group of men that, called the core community, where we started to really break down. I don't know if we broke it down, but we broke down relationships, we broke down interactions, we broke down speaking. So the leader of the group, John, he always told me, anyways, I'm sure he told others, but he always told me to slow down. Just slow down. Because the listeners want to have a chance to hear you, yes, but they also need to have time to process what you're saying. I think it's important for the listeners to process what I'm saying, but I also think it's important for me to process what I'm saying. I can't do that. I can't speak for the sake of hearing myself talk and expect to have an impact on anyone. That's what I do. And that's a little bit of my story. The story was that I had brain surgery 9 years ago, almost 10 now. It'll be 10 in April of next year. Hopefully we'll be done with COVID by then. But I had brain surgery. and it caused me to lose my eyesight for 6 months. I couldn't do anything on my own. It was the worst, but it was also the best. Because during that time, although I lost my eyesight, I started to see again. I started to see, and I saw what I meant. I saw what I meant to my kids. I saw what I meant to my wife. I saw what I meant to my mom and my dad. It's at that point when I started to see, the impact that I was having on the world. This group of men that I told you about, they were there with me. I mean, it was a little bit after I'd had surgery where I come to know them, but I can't tell you how pivotal that time was in my life to be able to get deeper in the Word. And yes, I still needed to do better at that, but just to have that conversation with someone other than me, because when for 6 months as I was blind, I couldn't see anything. Well, for 6 months, James couldn't talk. There's a lot going on inside you, even though you may not have a specific way out. You may not be able to see, you may not be able to talk, but there's still a lot going on inside. You need to have somewhere to take it. And that's where we took it. We took it to God. And God helped us get through it. We all have points in our life where we struggle with various different things. Sometimes we struggle with faith. Sometimes we struggle with being able to read the scriptures, the Bible. Sometimes we struggle with having an ability to form relationships. If we just set the struggle aside and focus on the only thing that we should focus on, then the struggle seems to go away. We just need to get back to the Word. And if we can get back to that, a huge burden, that yoke will be lifted. So this is my reminder today for all of you to hear that we need to get back to it. And this is my commitment to you to get back to it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here. I look forward to next week with James and just continuing to invest in you and to invest in us and our relationship. I know next week, Hazel, James's dog, is going to be on with us. So, we get to hear a little bit from Hazel and how Hazel has had an impact on James's life. So look for that next week. Don't forget to join me here at 11:30, and I will see you then. And as always, remember to keep one eye on the road. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye. Have a great weekend.